Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are about to jump into the semifinals here of the ESL Go4Heroes Americas Cup number 13. Some major news, Masai. Not only
pretty major.
did Magikarp move on over X Gamers to now take on Barrel Boys, whom we're about to cover here in our best of one semis, but the Happy Fairy Dragons has knocked out Cloud9 Vortex from this series, and they move on to face off against Evil Geniuses. That is some pretty hype news.
I'm pretty excited about that. You know, seeing new faces come into the scene and stuff like that and do some damage. I'm pretty hyped for them. I want to see what they do against EG, and then so forth.
Absolutely. So we're going to be jumping here into the draft in just a moment. We are going to Cursed Hollow for this best of one. Now, Magikarp is a team that I've been seeing a lot this week. They were in the Community Cup Friday, they were in yesterday's Kings of the Storm, and now here they are today with the ESL Go4Heroes. And Honey Dip, Lark Daddy, TN2389, X Storm, and Kotank have been putting on absolutely some fantastic shows and games, and we're really going to see what they can do here up against a bit more of a veteran team with the Barrel Boys. If you could, Mr. Masai, could you just tell the teams that we're ready to go for the draft? And we're going to be jumping into it. But Masai, do you have any, I know that you actually were playing for a team called Magikarp. Is this the same team?
Yes, it is. Magikarp, I played with them last week. We actually made it decent. Not last week, the week before.
Right.
We made it actually pretty far, and I'm all hyped for them also. Really great team, and I'm looking forward to what they can do here against Barrel Boys. I have hope for them.
These guys. Yes, go. Thank you. Every time I got to go back into the client, it screws up your webcam. I don't like to do it. I'm blaming this on you, McIntyre. It's all your fault. But
Blames.
Yeah, no, I know you were with the Magikarp for a bit, and now I think you said you were with Prime Evils this week? Prime Heroes?
Yeah, I was with Prime Heroes for this weekend. Currently with my work schedule, I'm more of just a fill-in sub, so I've been doing that role and getting some experience in helping people out. So overall, it's great to do, and I have no regrets doing it at all.
Awesome. Well, you're definitely welcome here on the scene, and we're going to be looking for some of your insight here as the draft process is ready to go. Barrel Boys in blue, but it's Magikarp with the first go, and it's going to be a Zeratul ban followed in by a Stitches.
I'm wondering what they're. I want to see what they're going to pick on the whole pick and ban and phase like that. So we have a Sergeant up so far. What do you think about this on this map?
It's definitely a stronger pick for the party lane bottom. Some people like to actually put her mid because that way you can actually have a feasible chance at contesting a tribute. On the off chance it's the farthest away that it could be. But we're also then likely to look for a Protect the Hammer comp. So Barrel Boys, they need to start looking at some of those supports to take away. They do solidify a Vala. They also solidify their Tassadars. So both very good counters to that. Vala, of course, the go-to assassin that has really permeated throughout this meta, permeated throughout this patch. And the Tassadar with the Orko is a fantastic pick here. Great bruiser mentality, brings a healing ward to the table as well. So really good start for both teams.
Yeah, Tassadar is going to bring a lot of protection of Vala, especially in those team fights if need be. Vala, one of the top DPS picks in the scene at the moment from what I've seen, and even Hero League and Quick Match, everyone loves some Vala, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So what can Magikarp do? Well, there's an ETC on the table if they want that frontliner. They could also deny out, sorry, not the Stitches because he is banned out. So that does lead more towards an ETC in my eyes. Could be a Diablo, been seeing a heck of a lot of him, but they're also going to need to support, take a support this round, I think, and they are actually going to solidify in with the Rhaegar. Could actually go for the Uther if they don't want to deal with the Battle Cow. If they are happy with the Diablo or a Mirrodin second round, or third round, it would be. But, you know, I suspect it's going to be one of those two.
I'm wondering what their next pick is going to be. You know, most comps, especially nowadays with, you know, going off of Cursed Hollow, is going to be Protect the Hammer. So I want to see what they're going to pick here for their next pick and go from there.
Yeah, they're going to be maybe dipping into their pool time here. Yep.
Yeah.
They're really thinking about this one. So let's say they do take the ETC. It's very likely either Diablo or a Mirrodin for the Barrel Boys. If they go for an Uther, then the Barrel Boy is likely to solidify the Nazebo and the Malfurion. Could actually take away the Malfurion for that comp, because that way they would have an answer to the Nazebo threat, if that is going to be the case. There's a lot of diverse picks that is really going to determine what the Barrel Boys go, and really depends on what the Magikarp want to deal with. But they're actually going to opt to take away the Wombo, and they pick up the Siege Sisters.
Yep. They pick up Zagara along with Sargent now, so double demo. I'm really interested on how this is going to work out. I mean, Zagara is great for having vision on the map, especially for Curse Hollow when you want to know where everyone's coming from. So I'm looking forward to what's going to happen here on this map so far. I'm pretty pumped for it so far. How about you, FourCourt?
There doesn't seem to be a lot of focus on the tanks here, so if the Barrels want to try to deal with this double siege, I mean, there's likely not to be another damage dealer coming out from Magikarp. So this is where I would have actually put a Nazebo and a Malfurion to just kind of do that combo. The Trank would have been fantastic with the Tassadar, but as I say that, I guess, Casper's Curse, they are going to go for their tank pick, and they're also now going to be playing Protect the Illidan. And unless Magikarp takes away both the remaining supports, that's going to be a pretty big dive comp for the Barrels.
Now, coming from Illidan with the Illidan pick there, another strong pick that I'm seeing a lot of play from him. Again, you have the Tassadar with the support, throwing out some shields, so Illidan's going to be really, really strong here also. You do have ETC for the knockback on Sargent or, Zagara, since she doesn't really have a lot of mobility in early game until the 20 with the Blink. But for the most part, I think on each side it's looking pretty good, though.
So Magikarp, what can they think here? They need to get themselves a tank. As I said, if it's not going to be ETC, it's probably going to be Diablo, and the Lord of Terror will be joining us this round. In terms of a second heals, because I really don't expect to see a damage dealer coming out of this, we could see a Bruiser, or we could see a heals. Uther's still on the table, Malfurion's still on the table, Brightwing if they want to try to control that intro, that initiation that ETC and Illidan are going to provide with them. An Emerald Wind could go pretty fantastic there, because they got the Rhaegar to rely upon. I'm just really concerned about having a solo heal Rhaegar, because statistically, I've been seeing that fail much more often than it succeeds.
And I'll have to agree with you on that one. Usually you see double support nowadays in the meta. How's the heals going to work with Rhaegar? We're going to have to see. I'm hoping they pick up another support, but we just got to wait for their pick and see what they go for.
And they're dipping again once more into their pool time.
There's thinking about it hard.
There's no Nazebo so far on the map here either. Was the Zagara pickup from Magikarp early even? Wow! Magikarp is just going to go all balls to the wall for it. They're going to take a Tychus last pick. I'm not sure how... I mean, the Tychus last pick is great for the overkill on Illidan. There's nothing he can do about it. But past that, do they need that? I don't know.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm not sure. But that last pick from Barrel Boys, though.
That last pick, yeah, from the Barrels, it is going to be the Uther. I don't know what they're doing with the Galabi. It's just going back and forth. But
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So there's no Nazebo, no Malfurion. The double support will be strong here for the Illidan, for that ETC. They got the Rockstar Aura to deal with. We do have the Healing Ward with the Tassadar, and of course the solo target heals and control coming out from the Uther. So in terms of Protect the Illidan, this looks pretty good. The counter engages. We don't really have something to stop that dive comp coming up for Magikarp. I mean, there's no Emerald Wind, there's no Divine Storm to kind of put people in their tracks. So it's going to come down to Diablo, perhaps an Apocalypse. If we bunch up enough, there's a lot of small spaces in Cursed Hollow when you're trying to get to and from a lot of these tributes, the tributes themselves, and you could really lead in some interesting spreads with an Apocalypse, and we have been seeing it more often than not. They also got the Zagara to go for the Wombos, so an Apocalypse after a Maw could be a good amount of lockup, but past that, it's just going to be an Odin to follow up. So I'm not entirely too sure where Magikarp's going with this.
Yeah, I want to see how it works out with their picks against Barrel Boys. From what I'm seeing, Barrel Boys, they have a nice even pick. 2 supports, Illidan, which is top pick. Nowadays, we got Vala and ETC just rocking nonstop. So I'm more than happy to start seeing this game go and see how it turns out.
It's, to me, Magikarp, like the pinnacle or the linchpin, more or less, of this drafting phase was that Zagara pickup. They spent so much time debating, thinking about what they're going to get, but You know, the Siege Sisters in the back, you can't really deny the power, especially on Cursed Hollow, because there's so much travel time between lanes. If they get left alone, even just for a second, you could lose a tower in a blink of an eye to that damage. But here we go, guys. Cursed Hollow, finally, we're getting on into
Let's do it.
It will be the semifinals, still best of one, but, you know, Messiah and myself are here, and after this will be, of course, the finals. Cloud9 Vortex not a contender there, as they did lose out to Happy Fairy Dragons, who are taking on Evil Geniuses in the other stream. So winner of this versus the winner of that in a best of 3 to cap out the night. And Messiah, would you like to introduce who do we have here on blue?
All right, on the blue side, we have Barrel Boys, we have Erho on top on ETC, we have McIntyre on Illidan, we have Trumbull on the Vala, Blinks on the Uther, and Kionda on the Tassadar.
Again, a very strong lineup coming out here from the Barrels. Flip side, though, it's a team that I've definitely been seeing a lot of. X-Storm to be in the solo top with that Zagara. Lark Daddy very much at home on his Diablo. Kotank, Honey Dip, and TN on his Sergeant Hammer. I see him more often than not on the Hammer. It's just not a lot of Hammer bans up against this team. And we do have, indeed, the party lane now forming up. It looks like both sides are going to be putting down their supports and DPS into the bot, and that leaves Illidan to solo and the ETC. Is there nobody mid right now? Nobody mid.
From the looks of it, there's no one mid. It looks like there's 4 bottom, but here we see Diablo going up to mid now to start getting some souls. All
right, yeah. So maybe they were looking for a little bit of that over-aggression. They're not going to find it. Don't expect much to happen in a lot of these other lanes. And, you know, Shane and I were actually talking about this, Messiah. There doesn't really seem to be too much when you have these static lanes going on in this early game.
Yeah, there's going to be just the laning phase at this point. I mean, up top we have Zagara on Magikarp. He's going to try and at least push a little bit here on Erho. At this level, you know, Zagara has a good amount of damage coming out, especially with the Mutalisks. But for the most part, it's just pretty much standard laning at this point until we see maybe some roaming, some ganking, and so forth.
McIntyre shouldn't have any trouble, but then again, Lark Daddy, with that insane regeneration that Diablo can start building up, shouldn't be really in any kind of danger as well. Trumbull and crew, they have repeatedly shown that they can deal with a Sergeant Hammer, especially early. The double support are good for the trades, and then of course Trumbull can just keep multi-shotting to victory. Does have the composite arrows, so going to be very likely setting up for that multi-shot build. In terms of the rest of the talents, X-Storm really does like to actually go Reconstitution early, which is the 200% extra health regen on those creeps, and setting up a very nice creep spread into that top lane. He's likely not to go down anytime soon.
Yeah, on bottom lane, they're just pushing back and forth, as we see on Zagara up top. Starting to push a little bit ahead on Erho up here. Creeps starting to work on the towers, and Erho is actually going to just try and keep him back so he's not doing too much damage there.
Yeah, that's all he needs to do, just try to survive and mitigate as much damage as he can. We're not getting any kind of damage down in the bottom here from Magikarp at all, but they are trading hit points back and forth. Healing wards are out on both sides. As we do got Tassadar now at level 4. Shield coming out there from the Uther, the Echo Pedal, Immolation, all fairly standard stuff at this point. The Zagara has a little bit of flexibility at 4, went with the Envenomed Spine, so more single target damage than anything.
It's going to be doing a little bit longer range, more damage on it. I think it's a pretty good pick on that for Zagara. As you can see here down on bottom, Trib is about to spawn. So we have 3-on-3 at the bottom so far. Let's see how the other lanes end up coming down.
And I really don't expect him to. I mean, this is just going to be poke and heal and poke, and nobody's going to get tributes, but nobody's also leaving to kind of come down here, which means that we're going to get full experience from both sides. Lark Daddy and McIntyre, for example, just tussling there in the mid. Very likely neither of them to be heading down. And this could take us a while to get a tribute, Messiah.
Yeah, it's honestly just a poke back and forth. On Magikarp. Now they finally have him out of the way, but are they going to be able to keep him out from hitting that trib? And it just looks like they're just going to keep poking. This might be a long trib, that's for sure.
Yeah, as I said, mid is just kind of the wet noodles, and top is absolutely static. But whoa, TN! Wow, last hit point still up for him. Did use those thrusters to get out of dodge, but he is very much going to be on the back foot there. Does he not have a fountain? Doesn't have a fountain ready to go, but he's going to come back in anyways. Either way, we don't have the front line, and Trumbull will eventually be able to score one here for the Barrels.
I think getting Sergeant down like that, getting TN down was just a major advantage there on taking that trip. And I'll give that to Bear Boys. They took it, they secured it, and they're up one trip right now.
And check out mid right now. Lark Daddy low on the hit points, no ammo, and McIntyre is basically going unchecked up against these ammo-less turrets. That's going to be one that puts us now a little bit in the lead for the experience for Barrels. So despite not coming down, the Barrels still were able to get the tribute, and now McIntyre's working away on top of these towers, and there's really not much Lark Daddy can do by himself. He just does not have the hit points. He finally was able to tap well, but McIntyre is still just unfazed at this aggression.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job at taking down the towers in mid. As you can see, a little bit caught up now as we have 3 on Magikarp up at mid. And I think he's going to get away. I think he's fine. Yeah, he's fine on that.
Yeah, Kotank coming in there with that overkill. I mean, Lark Daddy really just kind of wasted a lot of that, and then was able to just flip to the other side of the Tychus. Had the first aid ready to go from the level 7. And yeah, that is a very frustrating point to be in here for Magikarp, because now they're going to lose this race to 10, and the second tribute is up.
And as you can see up top, Zagara was doing work, but not as much as what McIntyre was doing in the middle with Illidan. As you can see, her next trip is up. Let's see how they counter this.
So it will be the 4-man collapses. We do got Uther and Hammer into the bot lane. That's going to be a little bit of aggression coming on to Trummel, but there's, again, not really too much follow-up. Zagara way too far in the back, not even here in this fight, and that's Heroics now on top of it. Metamorphosis going down. Did not kill the Lark Daddy, but Trummel has his number anyways. Honey Dip likely not to escape this Illidan, and Illidan getting in with that last body block. McIntyre even coming in with the Mosh, and that's going to be it for Kotank as well. We just had those Heroics go down, and X-Storm immediately throwing down that Maw, but it's still not enough for the kill on top of Arrow. Best efforts aside, it is now going to be a free tribute going back to the Barrels.
Yeah, Barrels did really good on that engage, especially what was the defining moment was the fact that their ults, they got their level 10s before Magikarp did, just putting him in that extra spot. As you can see over here on Kianda with the Tassadar, there goes another trip.
So 2 into the pocket of the Barrels. I realized I didn't actually tell you guys what the Diablo was heading, but Soul Feast, so, you know, the health and regeneration, it's pretty common, at least here on the NAS side of things. Amplified healing into Endless Death. And the Apocalypse. So this is really the only big crowd control combo that we have available to Magikarp. It's going to be the Maw into the Apocalypse for the lockup, and then the Collapse. But fortunately, we don't really have anything else to follow that up except a Tychus. And, you know, we'll have to just see how that works out for them overall.
Yeah, as you can see here now, their Magikarp is working on the Golem on their side. As you can see, though, Barrel Boys, they know they're here. I don't think they're going to let them get this.
It's not going down as quick as they can. The Sergeant Hammer is so far away. Blinks is just going to walk right in. Here comes the Apocalypse, but that's going to be the Divine Storm on the back of it. Ancestral on top of Honey Dip, not Lark Daddy, but it's going to be the Odin not really doing the damage it needs to as well. X-Storm off to the side, gets immediately jumped by McIntyre, and you know, the Tychus literally just had to walk his way out of it. McIntyre is going to go for this kill. I don't know what Kotank was thinking going for that well, but that is going to be a mistake that cost him his life, as he is now going to be dead in the water. The Sergeant Hammer, the lone Ranger at this point, but I mean, as a solo defender against a curse and a boss and 5 opponents up 2 levels, she's going to have her work cut out for her.
Yeah, Magikarp's in a really rough position at this moment. I mean, they're cursed at this point. They're just getting back up now. They're 2 levels down. And with a Golem up here and 2 Giants pushing, oh, this is going to be some destruction going on, that's for sure.
These turrets not going to be lasting. We're going to be looking at aggression after some of the forts as well, but that's going to be a jump. McIntyre's so very low. It's going to be a napalm strike, but everyone locked up from Arrow and that Mosh. Lark Daddy is going to get the Ancestral. McIntyre is going to be back in town, and we're looking for that overpowered combo. Unfortunately, it just creates a sandwich, and that is Diablo in the middle. Does not have a 5-second res timer. This round is going to be dead for another 20. The boss, however, is still slapping that for keep. It is very likely to drop at this point because nobody here from Magikarp is focusing it, and it looks like they're just going to be happy with the 1-for-1 trade, but so much siege damage being done. Mid fort down, bottom fort down, the mid fort, the top and the keep also now dead in the water.
They played the curse really, really well for Barrel Boys. As you can see on top, they did lose that up top there for Magikarp. They lost that. The whole time in the middle, there was a huge death wave pushing there. And also on bot, as you can still see down there, just that death wave of minions just pushing that took bottom. So overall, for Barrel Boys, that was a win with the curse, that's for sure.
And they have their boss still sitting real pretty into this bottom lane. We're only 9 minutes in, but this could also be a death push into another keep. The tributes not to spawn for a little bit yet, and it does look like Magikarp, they know that something is up. Nobody's on the map, and they just hit the bruisers. It's a very good guess to hit the boss, but unfortunately they don't got the positioning. And now Kotank, he's going to get immediately jumped on by McIntyre. Here comes the meta, and that is going to likely be it for the Tychus. Not even going to get an Odin out of it. Honeydip now finding himself way too far deep into that line of scrimmage. He is offside. He is done. TN will not live, and that will be the quad kill pickup against Magikarp, who has failed his evolution once more. And this is almost likely the death game push right here.
From how it's looking, it very well could be. As you can see, Araho over here is going to take the Giants. It's going to help with an additional push. We have Golem on the bottom here, also pushing. This could be, you know, this could be it, you know. But with the respawn timers coming up shortly, I don't think they're going to go for the actual finish. What do you think of that FourCourt?
Well, they didn't DPS it down nearly as quick as I kind of expected, but they still got over half the hit points there on top of that boss. Kotank is really far forward, does not have any kind of big survivability up his sleeve. It's going to be the Ancestral to keep him up here, but Honeydip, he's going to be now a big target without that Ancestral. The Maw goes down, there's no follow-up, we don't have an Apocalypse ready. So I'm a little surprised that we're actually going to be backing off, but when you're 2 levels up and you're up 2 keeps, I guess there's really no reason to endanger anything.
And as you can see, Barrel Boys just kind of poking around now. As we have Lark Daddy coming in. Ooh, getting stunned though, getting melted.
The Divine stun is just too good. This is why I wanted the Uther and the ETC to go with the Hammer, because they're just so good at locking up any kind of dive comps. And the ETC combo with the Divine just gives so much playroom here for Illidan, going back and forth. The double heals are just way too good as well. Lark Daddy is back from the dead with that 5-second timer, and he's going to go for Araho, who just power slides right back out. McIntyre getting so much hit points from that Metamorphosis, and a 1-2 punch takes down the Siege Sister, takes down the Lord of Terror. The Wolf is now dead in the water as well, but we'll trade out the Battle Cow and Vala. They will lose out the Bruisers, but 4 for 2, and this is, again, almost likely another keep. It's just going from bad to worse.
Yeah, Barrel Boys is just on top of this game. They're doing very, very well, just with team fights. As you can see, just melting down when we have McIntyre just going in there with Metamorphosis and just demolishing anyone who stands up against him.
So, you know, back in draft, I was a little concerned about just the tools they have to control the Illidan. Diablo, you know, he's clearly not cutting it here. The team from Barrel Boys are working exceptionally well together. That's now a naked core. Tribute is up. It will be only the first in the pocket of the barrels, but it's not going to be a curse itself for a while yet. And, you know, it's just right now, Magikarp just do not have any answers against these combos.
As of right now, the only thing they could really do is just clean lanes and get some experience back to get back up to where they should be. As you can see here from what's going on the map, Barrel Boys, they're going to head up to that Golem. They're going to try and take this since, you know, Magikarp has to defend. They have to clear those waves.
I got the damage and the healing numbers up. Vala leading the charge at 41,000 hero damage. X-Storm is way too far forward. This is 100% a dead Zagara. McIntyre just going straight over blind. It is going to be a 3-man Maw, but that is just not going to be near enough. And this is very likely boss and push. I don't see it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Barrel Boys, you know, falling back and saying, hey, let's give them a chance. I see them just going for this Golem and, you know, potentially going for the win here.
Gotenk is going to be taken out. The Siege Giants in the bot. Lark Daddy coming to assist, but really they're just biding their time. They cannot venture out of their base. There's no map control, no vision, and anybody gets caught, and they are going to go down to this combo. Blink sprinting forward, but cannot catch the wolf. A little bit of oopsie daisy from Blinks, but again, there is a boss now marching down. We're just going to soften up this core, and at 13 minutes in, still with a dead Zagara, there's no Apocalypse Wombo ready to go. It's I don't know, it's going from bad to worse.
It's Feral Boys definitely has the upper hand at the moment, and they're just looking to do some work. As you see, Araho going in for that mosh pit, but wow.
Lark Daddy absolutely just melted. Level 20 Hive. That was a hurricane, and the hurricane is coming down to blow Magikarp away back to the water. Splash attack was ineffective. You failed the evolution. You're definitely not the very best when it comes to Pokemon trainers, but the Barrel Boys are a strong team. We know this, and we have come to love them. Chat is just spamming out their name repeatedly.
Barrel Boys.
And that's going to be the semis. It will be a finals with the Barrels up against the victor of EG and Happy Fairy Dragons. Whew. What a game, sir. What a game, you know?
That match.
Magikarp has been doing really good in a lot of these tournaments that I've been watching them in. They came in, I think, on the Heroes Hype Amateur League. I saw them Friday, I saw them Saturday, now here. But the Barrel Boys showing you why they belong in the ESL majors, why they're now here looking to maintain that spot. It's fantastic play from them.
And I think it comes back to the whole, you know, pick and ban phase for Magikarp. They had some solid picks, but I don't think it was the right picks for what they were trying to orchestrate there. I mean, just the Illidan McIntyre was just doing work the whole match, and you have Vala just pumping out the DPS as usual. I mean, it was a very, very rough match for Magikarp, that's for sure. But you know they're going to be back at it next week, and I see them making it even further next week. So they'll be back, that's for sure.
Well, we'll see if they can hit finals next week, because that's literally as much farther as you can go, getting here all the way to the semis. But of course, you know, best of ones is not the biggest measure of skill. At the same time, it is really interesting to see what kind of tricks that some teams have up their sleeves. When we return, it will be the first game of our finals, which is now going to be swapping over to a best of 3 format. Barrel Boys have secured their spot, which is going to double quick check. Does Evil Geniuses move on? Does Happy Fairy Dragons? Okay, it's not reported, so it's going to be one of those two. So we might have to wait again a few more minutes. And again, when we return, Game 1, Messiah and FourCourt will have the entire series here for the Cup number 13, the Go4Heroes Americas. Hopefully you'll join us, and we'll see you guys in a few.